Welcome to the Foundation Podcast. We're the Lorehounds, your guides to psychohistory. I'm David.
I'm John, and this is our coverage of the Apple TV Plus original series, Foundation.
In this podcast, we're going to do a scene-by-scene breakdown of Season 2, Episode 4, entitled Where the Stars Are Scattered Thinly.
Be sure to stick around to the end of the podcast for programming notes about our podcasting schedule for August.
For early and ad-free access to all of our podcasts and exclusive content, visit us at patreon.com/thelorehounds. If you want to give us a leg up, if you're enjoying our content and having a good time with us, consider leaving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Ratings and reviews help people find the podcast, even on Terminus.
Even Siwenna, maybe.
Even Siwenna, right. A Type 0 civilization.
We love to respond to your questions, thoughts, and theories on air, so send us feedback for the next episode.
You can send emails to empire@thelorehounds.com. I almost want to say it with like Demerzel says it, Empire. Or head over to our website and use the voicemail feature or contact form. You can also post a message on our Discord server, and we can include that as well. Links in the show notes below. We've got a cool Discord setup. There's folks chattering about the show all the time, so join us. It's a fun community.
Yeah. I'm liking all the discourse on Discord.
Discourse on Discord? Yes.
Yeah. Maryland has been just dropping hot takes. Nice. Every single day. I feel like I see another good Maryland take. So
right.
Rocky Zim's active on there. We got a bunch of people talking about Foundation. I know we've got some feedback from the Discord today, so we will get to that later.
And David, the Discord, we've got Ahsoka coming up, and we've got Wheel of Time coming up, and I even saw the Wheel of Time channel was popping today.
It's popping off, as the kids say.
I
had to create a book spoiler section, thread, because
nice.
it just got too crazy.
Too crazy. Yeah, we've got a lot. We're going to be covering all of those shows in full coverage. Foundation's going to overlap Ahsoka, which is going to overlap Wheel of Time. We're going to be busy. So join us on our Discord, or, if you like what we're doing, maybe throw us some bucks on the Patreon.
Yeah.
And if none of that works for you, just listen.
All right. No more disclaimers.
Enough.
Sign up for the Patreon if you want.
Let's go.
Anyway, what did you think of this episode, David?
Really funny episode. I was like constantly chuckling throughout it. There were just some really funny little zingers. Big concept, but I was just kind of goofy in some ways.
Yeah.
They're laying a lot of track still. We're into episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think Goyer is on record as saying he's gunning for 8 seasons overall,
which is insane.
And if he gets it, and there's nothing that says at this stage that he wouldn't, but he doesn't, right? So we've got a long way to go yet. But in episode 4 here, we're still getting a lot of setup, but it doesn't feel like setup. But I could feel the tracks that they're laying out, and I think it's going to get pretty interesting. There is some, with what we've got Becky, right? The Bishop's Claw, that's been foreshadowed in almost every episode in this. There's something I'll talk about later, the Bhagavad Gita, which is a book that Glaywin picks up when they're at the Partition's house.
Okay,
that is doing some heavy setup there. Hober and Constant, lots of vibes.
I think a little too explicit, to be honest.
A little too, yeah.
It was a little too on the nose.
The Prime Radiant, a new spy for Queen Sarah. So, there's a lot cooking. They've got a lot of pans on the stove here. The action scenes are still not quite hitting it for me. They're getting a little bit better. But they're still slightly off. But you know what? That's so minor compared to the main story stuff that I'm
going to take issue with that. I actually really liked the action in this episode. I thought it was the strongest of the season by far.
I agree. I think it has got, like I said, it's getting better, and I think this is probably the best. But yet I'm still quite not there.
Mm-hmm.
And this stuff with Dawn and Dusk, with Queen Sareth and the Enjoiner Rue, amazing, fabulous, great acting, great Game of Thrones-esque plotting of, maneuvers and counter maneuvers and who's really doing what and where. So we've got political maneuvering. We've got romance, we've got action, we've got all kinds of cool lore things happening. Harry was really funny in the Prime Radiant, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So really, I'm really happy with the way that the season's going so far. And I hope it's only going to get better because we're only at episode 4 and we got 6 more to go. So
yeah, definitely.
What about you?
I got to say, I got to the end of the episode and I said to myself, I didn't see Gale and other Harry and Salver the entire episode. And I also did not think about them or miss them once.
Okay.
I gotta say, this really highlighted to me that is the weakest part of this show.
Interesting. Okay.
At this point.
Okay.
And I really liked following Gale in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder what it is this season where I just kind of don't care about what they're doing. I don't know.
The stakes aren't, they haven't given them anything yet to.
Well, they got them, they're in charge of solving the second crisis.
Yes.
Right?
And
like,
weird stuff has happened, right? They traveled in time. They got Harry a body.
Right.
So big stuff, but like it's disconnected from everything else where everything else feels like really settled in place. Yeah.
Right.
So, anyway.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And I think that the acting happening, like the chemistry between all of the other sets of characters is miles above the chemistry between Gale and Salver. I think that's probably what it is. Like the chemistry between Gale and why can't I think of the main guy in the show? Harry Seldon. The chemistry between Gale and Harry Seldon, now that my brain decided to work, is pretty good. It's good. I really like Harry yelling at Gale, but I don't know. There's something about Harry with Hober, Harry with Constant, Harry, patting Polly on the head like a little boy. I mean, it's great. It's great. And I think that it's just another level above what we've been seeing aboard the Beggar.
Right. Yeah, it's a shame too, because I think both actors are trying to do, they're doing the best they can and something's not quite on target. But at the same time, it's not off the target either. Like we're hitting the board.
It's happening, yeah.
But we're just not, we're not getting into that center bullseye zone, if we want to use a darts metaphor. Yeah.
I did not appreciate, I will say there were parts where I was taken out again by like the modern colloquialism. Oh, I took a dump over there. No, that wasn't it. That was not the line.
Yeah, it did. It was like, whoa, that was really weird.
Out of left field.
Yeah. It was very... visceral is not the right word. Very, very real and just sort of normal and like, it
was kind of vulgar, right?
Yeah, it was vulgar. It's definitely something you would hear somebody say if you're friends out in the woods, whatever. Oh yeah, I took a, But in this show, which is has been, I wouldn't say highbrow, but it is certainly elevated, and that was a very not elevated line.
I kind of almost understand what George Lucas meant now when he said he wanted it to be more like an opera in Star Wars when he did the prequel trilogy than have, he wanted that dialogue to be very highbrow like that, like very, very
not
sort of
mundane.
Removed.
Yeah, I gotta, what's for dinner?
Now
I gotta blow my nose.
It. Yeah, he executed it poorly, but I get what he meant now. I think Foundation proved to me what George Lucas had in his head.
Right, because we were very highbrow, and then suddenly, there's this vulgar sort of everyday line thrown out there in a very crass way. So,
Speaking of George Lucas, we just covered Attack of the Clones, and it was a fun conversation, so
I was waiting for you to do it, because if you weren't, then I was going to say it. It's the Attack of the Clones.
We had fun
Wars
with that
Film
one.
Fest.
I just published that today, the day we're recording.
Yeah.
So...
Okay.
That's basically my thoughts on the episode. I agree with you. It was very funny. It was, I don't know if it was my favorite episode of the season so far, but it was at least a contender between this and I think the pilot. I think it was a contender.
Okay. Cool.
Pilot. You know what I mean? Episode 1 of season 2.
Episode 1.
Anyway, I think it's time. We've got to go to your open questions.
Yeah, so quick review. We're keeping a little list of open issues and questions that we have. And if you want to add anything to this list, anything that I missed, post it on the Discord or send us an email, empire@thelorehounds. And some of these are bigger mysteries. Some of these are smaller curiosities. So we've talked about Gale's vision, about Hober Mallow. Obviously, that was answered. Una's world. So they're anything they're setting up early on, they seem to be paying off very quickly. But I think some of these other ones are going to be a longer term.
Yeah.
One of them was, what was Harry Seldon's father's doing when we saw in the flashback? He was manipulating some weird sand shapes. It seemed a little out of character.
He was referenced this episode.
He was, yes, the College of Hard Knocks, as it were.
Yeah.
We're curious about how or who was able to alter Day's personal aura when he was attacked.
Well, and we got clues now, at least.
Yes. We are curious to learn more about the blind angels and psycho-encryption. What about the Prime Radiance consciousness? We certainly have a clue to what's going on with the Prime Radiant now. I don't think we're really going to get into the rings of Trantor. I think they're going to be just a visual pretty thing.
I think, and it was a dig for Dominion to bring in. You really like your big rings.
That's right.
Yeah.
Where or what is Ignis? I think that is coming. I don't think these kinds of things they're holding back in a mystery box format. I think they're rolling them forward. But a couple of big mystery box things is what, who, where, how, Calais, is she alive? Is she a hologram? Is she a clone? What's going on? And then how has Harry been made real? I think we've got some ideas about what's forming there, but that's a big mystery. And how does the vault know what it knows? That's really a big thing. Does it have a big Wi-Fi connection and it's sucking down information from the cosmos?
Well, I guess now we have the Prime Radio network. Right.
Yeah,
because it's in multiple places. I'm sure it could bring in some knowledge from the outside world from aboard the Beggar.
And I think for this kind of show, we want to understand the function. How is that actually happening? And how I think that's part of the fun of it. So anything else I missed on questions?
I don't think so. I think we've I guess what I would add this episode, but I think you do that at the end more, is where's Hober Mallow going?
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, let me jump to the end there, and I'll we'll put that right away. Okay, that's it for open questions. Again, drop us a note if you've got anything that is hanging out in the back of your mind, and you want to put a pin in it so we can track it.
So, David, you've got some structural notes that we like to read every episode.
Yeah, real quick to a quick callback really fast before we get into our sort of, setting context and expectations for these podcasts. Marilyn wrote in, how we've been sort of analyzing the opening credit sequence.
Yeah.
And there was one that stymied me a little bit. It's a face with the skin sort of peeled away and you can kind of see the skull.
Yeah.
Marilyn pointed out that's probably Demerzel. When she ripped her skin off of her face at that time. So that totally makes sense.
That makes sense, yeah.
And for Demerzel to have a whole image sequence part of the opening, that means that Demerzel is very important for our overall storyline.
Right.
She's got, Harry's in there, possibly Lady Sareth or Queen Sareth is the woman in the robes. That's a potential. We've obviously got Empire. So anything that's in there big is obviously they're calling out to these are major characters or major structural elements of the show. So good call, Marilyn. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Structural notes. I don't know what else to call them, but this is just kind of, we want to make sure that folks understand, especially if you're coming in new to listening to the podcast. I read the books many, 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 many years ago. Never quite ever finished them. I got about 2/3 of the way through the core series. Never read any of the extended works or any of the robotic stuff. John, you finished the first book?
Yeah, and I have not even started book 2 because I just don't want to.
Okay.
It was fine. It was fine. I like the show better so far.
Okay.
And I kind of want to preserve myself for what else I have not spoiled.
Right.
And again, I don't actually think I have basically anything spoiled because they use the same names, but not nearly in the same way.
And, one of the ways that we're contextualizing the show, and we've talked about this in the past, not only do we recognize that showrunners and creators for film and TV, when they're doing adaptation, they need to change things in the medium so that storylines work and things are cleaned up. I mean, Tom Bombadil, like I think a lot of people would have walked out of Lord of the Rings with Peter Jackson saying, going, what is this Tom Bombadil
and
thing?
Yet many were mad that he wasn't
and yet many were mad. That's true. And that goes into this question of adaptation versus inspiration. Are you adapting something? So I would say like the Expanse books are very good adaptations. The writers were showrunners, but even then they had to mess with stuff. Yeah. Whereas I think this show is a lot on the inspiration side of the slider, right? He's taking a lot of the pieces and recombining them in ways that make sense. So that's the way we're approaching this is inspiration, not adaptation.
I think that's right. And I don't think that the books would work as a straight adaptation.
No. Right.
Because they are very much more disconnected between the generations. They don't have these through lines that you can follow and have a character to follow through like Gale. So let's thank the showrunners. Let's thank David Goyer for doing a good job with that
new stuff. And the Empire stuff, which is straight up invention, has been some of the best stuff that he's written and directed for this. So
loving it.
So we have screeners. Apple has been kind enough to provide us with screeners, but we're not running ahead, except we're going to run ahead for episode 5 because I'm on vacation with my family next week, and it'd be really awkward for me to podcast. So we're going to, but we haven't watched it yet. So we're podcasting in the blind here, but we're going to then record 5 really quick so that that'll be ready for the next week. And then I think we'll have to do that one more time. I think we have to do that for 7.
We'll preserve our spoiler-free minds, but we may be late on feedback. That's really the effect of this.
Exactly. I am listening to the official podcast and a couple of other podcasts, but usually after we've recorded. So these are fresh takes from us. Fresh takes.
Well, it's got to be after we record, right? Because it doesn't come out till after we record.
Exactly. It comes out right. I think it comes out like an hour before, or just before the
show, right?
Yeah.
But we were recording in advance now. We're ahead of time now. We are just like Gale and Harry Seldon, just traveling through.
I'm going to project. Except I don't want to starve myself of oxygen, nor do I want you to breathe air into me underwater. Yeah, that's fine. We can skip those things. Okay, cool. With those structural issues, contextual issues out of the way, should we get into the breakdown?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. We open with a shot of Polly and Constance asleep at the controls, hurtling through hyperspace. And we get a voiceover. We get a voiceover back from Gale.
Wow.
As the whisper ship, the Spirit Rising, exits from hyperspace. Gale says, if your parents never met, you wouldn't exist. In fact, if any of your great, 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 great grandparents haven't met, you wouldn't exist. Everyone in the universe is a result of a unique set of parents, and psychohistory doesn't care about them at all. So there you go.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. Doesn't care about them at all. You are just yourself.
Your data, you're a point. Are you even a statistically significant point? You're a makeup of a mass of stuff. But I think this voiceover really is doing some work in terms of the Hober and Constant relationship and other potential relationships. We could be setting up for Queen Sereth and Empire here.
Okay.
Right.
I'm curious if she's actually interested in Empire really, or if she's using this as a way in to get their secrets. But I guess we'll discuss that when we get to that scene.
And even if that is true, are they still going to procreate and have children? And are we breaking the genetic dynasty here? So, that could be set. What I'm thinking of is if we get to season 4 or 5, we can't we're not necessarily going to have Lee Pace or Lulu Bell or Leah Harvey or any of the other actors. That's a long run to go. Jared Harris,
especially somebody like Jared Harris and Lee Pace too. I think they're both about on that level where it's hard to get them for a long period.
And we're getting de-aging visually technology, but still, there's still voiceover work and body work to be done. So so I think there's some setup going on here with that. By the end of this episode, I'm definitely feeling the vibes that Hober and Brother Constant are going to be swirling their genetic material in a test tube before long.
Okay, fair enough.
So,
Brother Constant sure would like it.
Yes, she certainly would. The ship porn in this is beautiful, right? That
Yeah.
image of them sitting in the cockpit asleep there. So
good stuff.
All right. Clearly a morning person, Constant wakes Polly as they begin their descent to Terminus. As Constant tends to Hober, Polly helps himself to a little bump, a little wake me up. Constant and Hober dance around the nature of pessimism versus optimism, and Hober tries to guess Constant's name, and Hober is brought before the director.
Yeah, so Polly is a little jealous, I think, of their relationship. Not
you think so?
Not that he wants to be romantic with Constant, but more like I think he sees Constant as like his protege, and he sees Hober as this little shit who fell out of the order and is a scam artist, and they had to save from Titan's prick. And I think he just doesn't really like the guy. He doesn't find him charming. He thinks he's kind of a jerk. And I think when he sees them get a little closer and he sees Constant warming up to him, he's like, I don't love
know
that.
What I think about this. Yeah. Than this guy.
It's more like your dad or your uncle being grumpy that he doesn't like your new boyfriend.
Right. Yeah. Right. Being a little protected, especially around a known scoundrel.
Right. And he sure is. I mean, I think he will admit to being a scoundrel, right? He's not hiding it.
Did you notice the jacket that after he puts on Polly's shirt, which has got to be sort of an annoying thing? The jacket that he's wearing throughout the episode is the Commodore Argo's jacket from the planet Corel.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's got all the little medals on it and stuff like that. So
that's fun.
It's very good. And I'm loving Isabella Laughlin, who is playing Constant. At first, when we first met her on Siwenna in the market, or not even in the market, with out walking around with Becky,
right.
I was like, what? Who? I wasn't sure who, brother, monk, robes, this kind of stuff. And now she's just becoming a delight. She's really
very charming.
Yeah.
Doing very well. And she's funny. She has great comedic timing. I think she's just sarcastic enough. It doesn't feel contrived. Like you said, this was a funny episode, and I think that this trio really was the core of that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and Constant is looking very thirsty.
Yes.
She's a little thirsty for Hober.
Yes, she is.
Did you notice her eyes? And I think this must be a Thespin thing, because I believe what's his name? What's Salver's boyfriend's name?
I don't know.
From
He's dead now.
Season
1. I don't
1.
have to remember it.
Anyway, he was Thespin, and okay. Their eyes are very blue, and it makes me, and I've been talking about sort of the Dune parallels and crossover stuff, and this blue within blue eyes, the eyes of the Abad, makes me really think, because they really are accentuating that.
Yeah.
It's not the same as what the spiced eyes do, but again, it's just one of those little comps that I can't help but notice.
For sure, I picked up on that too. I think it is very Dune.
Yeah. What does Hober say? Cheat the greedy, bed the willing, and spend the cash.
Not a bad motto,
line.
Right?
He's clear. He's got a clear mission statement for his life.
Yeah, and he did cheat that one guy.
Yes,
that we already saw. So
there's this thing here too, where Constant refers to her father as Pater.
Mm-hmm.
And then she further explains that she's Satya Thespin, which is a cultural minority within their group, and that they keep their names private.
Okay,
and so that sets up the whole running gag of the name game thing. So, which is hilarious through the whole episode.
Yeah, that was a really good bit. I really enjoyed the whole. What's your name? Yes, no, just this whole little gag was very good.
Yeah, it adds to that.
Can I start calling them the Drunk and the Monk now?
The Drunk and the Monk is perfect. That's really good. Yeah, you can tell they're having a lot of fun writing for Hober.
Yes,
especially when we get all this highbrow Empire sort of stuff, and then you get to play with somebody like Hober. I think it's got to be a lot of fun.
You almost wish that they would do more of this, right? It's sort of a balance, because you don't want them being like, what the fuck is happening? Like they did last episode. And you don't want them talking about taking a dump, but you do want to have some normal freaking people in this world.
Reacting in normal sort of ways. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you have that balance, right? It's sort of like, I complained about this in the Wheel of Time, because the Wheel of Time, the books have in-universe swear words. Burn me, blood and ashes, all these these very, I don't know, they're immersive. They're very immersive swear words. And the show chose to go with standard English curse words. And I
modern day, yeah.
I really wish they didn't, because it takes me out of it. And it's the same thing in this show. I think you really need to be careful about the flavor of the language you use in science fiction and fantasy, where you're trying to make me believe I am looking at a different version of the world.
Right. But it's very tricky too, because if you come up with the wrong swear word, Battlestar Galactica famously had frack. And I always thought that was a bit naff. That was just, that doesn't quite work.
I feel like that's in a bunch of stuff.
Frack. Yeah. What is it? Falbercarb? What was
that? Is frack a Star Wars thing? I think it might be.
No, frack is Battlestar Galactica.
Well, it is a Star Wars thing as well. It is profanity popular on the planet Kularin.
Okay.
And it is sometimes shouted by clone troopers, rebel troopers, stormtroopers, and Imperial Navy pilots on Wikipedia. I'm looking at it right now.
Well, you can't argue with the Wikipedia.
Yeah. Once it's on Wikipedia, it's the Bible, basically.
Battlestar Galactica. Okay. Well, anyway, let's not go down into a swear word hole. Point being is that it can go wrong if you use the wrong.
Sure.
It can go badly if you use the wrong words, so creating language and names is really a skill in and of itself. And so, yeah, I think you're right though. Using modern day vernacular in how many millions of years ahead of us, thousands of years ahead of this, it breaks the verisimilitude slightly.
I'm saying we know the wrong answer. I'm not saying I know the right answer, but I know the wrong answer.
If you knew the right answer, you'd probably be on strike right now with SAG-AFTRA or the DGA.
I probably would.
Or the WGA. Sorry, the DGA is not struck.
Yeah.
Anyway, back on Trantor, Queen Sereth and her enjoiner Rue conspire about the day's upcoming events and complain openly about the symbol of empire being displayed everywhere. Queen Sereth vows to find out the truth about her family. This was a funny scene.
Yeah, it was great. And I really liked this whole plain-faced as a common woman thing. First of all, I think she looks a lot better without the pigments. It's just, I always thought it looked a little cheesy, honestly, but I kind of get what they were going for with it, because that's that whole planet's export system's export is these pigments that Brother Dusk is obsessed with. So I don't know. I get what they were going for, but I do think it looks a little silly sometimes. I think she looked a lot more normal and a lot nicer.
Well, that's for us to look normal, right? And they were trying to do a makeup style that is not commonplace. So that's kind of the same as the language.
That's true, but also in this world that we're looking at, it doesn't seem like anybody else is
doing that as well, right? Yeah.
Even I don't even think Rue is doing it, right?
Oh no, Rue is definitely doing it. You can see big swaths, on her face.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Interesting that. What does Sereth say? She says, don't worry. I learned most of my courtesan tricks from you, and then we learn later about Rue's courtesan past and how she. She bed the current Dusk, right? And that's a big deal. And it actually plays in,
when he was day, though.
When he was day,
yeah.
And that sets up a whole thing with the spy and the secret stuff that's going on. So, what does Rue say? Empire makes everyone into a courtesan eventually. Sort of goes into Ice-T's old line. Either there's two kinds of world. there's hookers and pimps, right? It's like you're working for somebody or you're working,
right?
So yeah, she anybody who gets close to Empire eventually gets turned into an object that is used by Empire.
I think that's right. I mean, look at Rios, right? Same deal.
Yes, Bel Rios. Yeah. Ella Ray Smith is the actress playing Queen Sereth, and Sandra Yee Sin. I tried to look up her name here.
Sensendiver?
Sensendiver, that is correct. Yeah, I think that's right. Sensendiver is playing Rue, and they are just nailing these roles. The casting this season has been phenomenal.
This is the most Game of Thronesy this show has ever been in these scenes.
Did you notice something? This is a technical detail that I picked up, and if we ever, God forbid, ever got a chance to talk to anybody from the show, this is one question I wrote down in my list.
Okay.
As they're leaving, and sort of she, puts her robes and stuff on, there is some natural sun flare, right? So when the sun is striking the glass lens, and you get the little colored discs, coming across the screen, there is an intentional ginormous lens flare that looks digitally added, and it's sort of a red yellow fade thing, big circle in the middle of the screen. And I don't know if they did that intentionally to mask the other sun flare there, or to give some sort of weird visual effect as they're leaving. I don't know if you noticed it.
I did not notice it, but you are more into that stuff than I am.
The visual stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know if anybody's got a theory about that, or go back and watch that scene and see if you catch it too. I'm pretty sure it's not just my copy of the screener that has that. So.
Right. All right, David, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we'll resume the episode. And we're back. David, lead us back in.
All right, so we've got a couple of big scenes here. To start off, we've got Queen Sereth and Dawn walk and talk, followed by Sereth's body man. We learn about Dusk and Rue decades ago, and Dawn invites Sereth to talk privately in a secluded grove under a large banyan tree. Day wants to know if she's behind the assassination attempt, and Sereth wants to know if Dawn killed her family.
I think you strike that, reverse it. I think Dawn wants to know if she's behind the assassins, and Sereth wants to know if Day.
Oh, did I have my days and my dawns?
You got your days and your dawns mixed up, but it's okay. We got there eventually.
Oh man, sometimes when I'm watching these scenes and writing these outlines, I'm trying to do my research or wait, what kind of tree is that? And oh boy, I get into it, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. So
definitely.
But thanks for catching that. I appreciate it.
No worries. I
was trying to be all dramatic in my reading as well.
That's okay. So the chemistry between Dawn and Sereth, my question by the end of this episode is...
So good.
Is this a manipulation from Sereth trying to woo Dawn into being attracted to her and being blind as young men are to a beautiful woman?
Can we say, or Sereth using chaos as a ladder, right, to sow discord between the brothers?
Yeah. So I don't know. You know what? Why don't they have you marry me? It seems so obvious, right? Like just leading him, giving him that little bit to chew on, because he's going to be thinking about that for the next month.
But then I had a question. Was Dawn... Yeah, so the question is Dawn naive here, or... And too young to see the ruse that she's playing? I mean, her crocodile tears were very convincing, but they were right on cue. And, the moment she starts talking about her family, she's shedding tears. It's like, oh, that's pretty convenient. So is Dawn savvy enough to see through that?
No.
Or is he too, are his emotions getting mixed up? So, and then I have another question is if Empire is as surveillance heavy as we know they are, remember in season 1, we know that one of the Shadow Masters had a cloaking, like a personal cloak bodysuit.
Okay.
So they're in a secluded grove, but are they secluded?
Right. Good question. I would also say the last season Dawn was wooed and fooled by a pretty woman.
Uh-huh.
And so we know that it is in the DNA line, at least.
That's true.
That at that age, he's still a young man. He's still susceptible to the same thing young men are susceptible to.
Right.
He's not immune to it.
Right. What does she say? Day is looking for someone too desperate enough to climb on top of an empire with dangerously adjusted frontiers. What a line. The sexual metaphor and the innuendo wrapped up in political maneuverings and family and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, she's really dangerous. She's way smarter than I think a lot of people realize. And it's just the question is does Empire have savvy enough to see the game within a game that's being played here?
Right. I think Day is onto her a little bit. I think Dusk is onto her more. I really think like the older you get, it's sort of the more that they are onto what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't know, because Dusk was pretty wooed by the pigments.
Yes, he was, and he was very wooed by Rue as well.
Yeah.
So in reliving their past a little bit.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it was really interesting the way she sort of friend zoned him, right? She extends a hand. Let's always promise to be honest with each other.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, friends. Okay, you're in the friend zone box. And then she puts her hand on his arm. And then she says, oh, I think we would have been suitable as mates. So she's really messing with his head a lot.
Yes, she is. She knows exactly what she's doing here.
Exactly. It's great to watch.
Very savvy. Very, very savvy.
I was loving it. And this idea of asking a younger version of the same man what he might do in the future. I'd like to think that I could be capable of doing that. But then, of course, I didn't know you by then, So that's all really super interesting.
Yeah, it's that's tough. That's tough. Mm-hmm. And also, I mean, you're not just, your DNA, but older. You're the sum of your experiences too. So I don't know. I guess it would be a little easier in this situation because they all have the same job, right? Like they all lead the same life, ostensibly.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right, John, we got to talk about the banyan tree here, this ginormous tree in this secluded grove that they're walking around. I think the tree is operating on a really interesting level as a metaphor here.
Okay.
So this type of tree is a fig. It's a type of fig tree, and the seeds, when they fall on the ground, because of whatever, they're unlikely to survive. But seeds that fall on another tree, seeds from this tree that fall on another tree are more likely to take root and grow. And so this is called an epiphyte. A tree or a plant that grows on another plant. But this tree has a habit of strangling the trees or plants that it originally grows on. So what happens is, and then another thing that happens is this tree will shoot out these things called prop roots, big root structures that are holding it up, because if it's growing on another plant, it needs to sort of prop itself up. Okay. So it shoots these big root structures out, and that's where you get those really wild, intricate, like, whoa, I'm like walking in some sort of weird maze thing here. So those prop roots allow the tree to expand horizontally, potentially infinitely, because as it expands horizontally, it can keep dropping its seeds on other plants right around it, and it can consume them and take all of that over. And then what happens eventually is that the original host tree or plant that was at the center where this thing started will die. It's strangled by the banyan tree eventually, and then it'll die and rot, leaving a hollow void space in the center.
Wow.
So here we have Empire, growing, and we have, something dead inside and something that takes on, the sort of cannibalizes all of the life around it. So I just thought it was a really interesting place to have this conversation, besides being visually stunning.
Yeah, that's super interesting. I appreciate the forestry lesson. I think it is very appropriate here, because that does sound like a metaphor. Is Dominion the
hollow
banyan tree,
on the
right?
inside? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we are the Lorehounds after all. So we
like it a lot, David.
Deep on these things.
That was some good lore hounding.
I've seen these trees before. I think if folks who've traveled, maybe into Southeast Asia or Africa somewhere, you might have seen these trees, but they're just so visually striking, and it had to I had to go find the meaning, even if the showrunner didn't mean it. I still think
I appreciate it. I think that's a really good theory there.
Yeah, I've got another big one coming up later when they're on Sowena.
I will award you your internet points at the end of the season.
Thank you so much. Even I'll even get bigger points if we ever talk to somebody involved in the production. That's another one I want to find out about.
There you go.
All right, next scene. Rue admires the murals, and Dusk invites her to relive their shared youth after they dance around the politics of the impending union between Empire and Dominion.
Yeah. No, I feel like this was kind of a short scene, but I did enjoy. First of all, it was interesting to hear that she did have her memory wiped. She was a standard, consort with Empire,
in the Gossamer Court. Yep,
and that she leveraged this to become high-ranking in the political structure of Dominion.
Yep,
fascinating.
Yeah, yep. And that we then later learn that she was able to reverse the memory erasure.
Right. At least ostensibly.
Yeah, which is fascinating.
Yeah. And as we, you mentioned the, what were they called? The assassins that had the psycho encryption.
Mm-hmm.
Was this part of a technology that was developed by Dominion?
Oh,
is this the same thing?
Interesting,
because it does seem like they are pretty good at manipulating memories, according to them at least.
Okay, I like it. That's a good theory. That's some good tinfoil hat action there. Same question that we asked of Dawn. Is Dusk being a bit foolish here, chasing after lost romance and sort of lusting after Rue?
Probably.
Or is he savvy and is he playing a game within a game?
I don't know. The more I learn about Cleon, the less I think of him. Okay. all of them together. Like the one who walked the spiral was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, they've all been pretty much jerks and incompetent or kind of unintelligent. Right. So I don't know.
We'll see.
I kind of have little faith in this Dusk.
Okay. A couple of details here. There is, at the end of the scene when they're in the hallway looking at the murals and they're walking out, we zoom in on, they walk past this and then they zoom in of a figure of a humanoid type figure that could, like, the skin is kind of hollow and you can kind of see weird shapes within the body form. And I was wondering if that is depicting a robot of some kind.
Okay.
But then what's even more interesting is above the robot's head, there are 8 planets with sort of orbital lines running around them. And the third planet is bluish green. The fourth planet is very red. The next 2 planets are really large. So that matches very much the solar system with, was it Mercury or Venus first? I always forget. And it's a really clear shot. If you catch it as they're walking off screen, you think you're just looking at the mural, but we've got a robot and we've got something that looks like our solar system.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, we have had Earth name dropped in this series before. Some people say that we come from a place called Earth.
Right.
So who knows? And I think that was as Salvor Hardin was a child, right? So she would have at least passing knowledge of Earth.
So, John, I just shared this image that we were talking about with you. And I don't know, what do you see? Do you see this humanoid shape? It looks kind of weird, right? I can't tell what's going on with the organs and the muscles, the hand.
I don't know. It does not speak robot to me because it's got this like brain structure going on, and we know that we have a decentralized robot with Demerzel.
Right.
But I can't disprove it either.
Right. But then if you look at the planets above it, right, there's a sun, then there's the third planet, and then there's a fourth planet, which is red, 2 big planets, and then 2 sort of bluish planets.
Yeah.
So,
I buy that. I buy that being the solar system.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think maybe what I'll try to do is once the embargo lifts, I'll post this in our Discord.
Okay.
And this image, and see what other people think about it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, cool. Last little thing I wanted to point out in the Gossamer Court: no boobs, only man butts.
Ah.
Where normally in a normal show we'd get a lot of exposed female breast, and in this one we have none. So
you know what? It's refreshing.
Yes, it is.
Now, if Lee Pace wants to do that, no.
Thirst trap. All right.
Duve is just shaking in his boots right now. He's walking his dog, and the rain is pouring down, and he's like, "You did it again, Lorehounds!"
That's right. That's right. All right. Destiny jumps out of hyperspace over Siwenna, and we get another voiceover from Gale. We pair to procreate, or so we're taught. Love itself is inconsequential when measured against the scale of the galaxy. So, again, putting us into this space of love and relationships, and now we're going into a scene between 2 husbands going on an away mission.
I'm going to completely disagree with Gail here. She is the one who is advocating to change history to save her daughter out of love.
Interesting. So this is an interesting question that I don't think that we've really talked about, and it does get touched on in one of the official podcasts. Is when is Gail talking? Who is she talking to? And
Good question.
When is she talking?
Good question. I just mean, I don't agree with that. I think people do crazy things for love. Mm-hmm. I think they do illogical things, and I think that they change plans for love. I think that is completely false, and even within the show is false.
Can you measure for love? Can you statistically account for love and the crazy things that...
I don't know, because I'm not a psychohistorian.
But you're a guide to psychohistory, so...
Oh, right.
Okay, as General Rios gets a briefing from the deck officer, Rios exposits about the outer reach and then declines a shuttle ride down to Siwenna in favor of winging it with Officer Kerr, otherwise known as Glaywin. They are then shot out of the ship in pods that take them through the atmosphere, and they do a version of a halo jump, high altitude, low opening, to the surface in wingsuits. Seems like Rios missed the landing, and they now need to find their extraction kit. What did you think about this? You got some. You said you liked the action. This,
yeah. I more meant the this was fine. I more meant the fight scene. I thought that was better because that just felt. I want to talk about the fight scene when we get there, but that was something where it felt like it got out of hand really quickly, and it felt right for that moment and for this group of people.
Cool. Okay. So one of the things that Rios says is that this is a type, or not, Rios doesn't say this, the deck officer says this about Siwenna, that this is a type 0 civilization. This is something that is called the Kardashev scale.
Okay.
And it's a scale that was proposed by this mathematician, physicist guy about stages of development of planets, of potential planetary ecosystems, and it's measured in scale. So a type 0 civilization lives within the energy of the place that they live. And I believe a type 1 is able to harness all the energy that's on their planet. And a type 2 can harness energy from the solar system. And then like a type 3 gets into like galaxy spanning energy consumption.
Galaxy brain, right?
Yes. It's a way to scale civilization, not based on technology or culture or religions or values or belief, but just by organisms consuming energy and the energy that they can harness and harvest. And so Siwenna is a type 0. So they're living off the energy. They're not harvesting the energy for furthering their own planetary growth of people. So,
okay. Fair enough.
And I think it's by and large an accepted thing, at least in the Star Trek community.
It sounds super consumery, right? The more you consume in energy,
yes, it is.
You the better you are. Oh,
that's right. Well, it's just scale, right? Can you consume energy in your galaxy? So
I don't know. The numbers are going up. My brain wants me to think that that's better.
But yeah, as I was saying, I think in the Star Trek community, it's largely accepted that you should not go on away missions with your spouse.
Okay.
It's generally not a good idea.
Okay. Why is that? Has it gone wrong?
Well, because eventually somebody's spouse gets like killed or hurt or something like that. So I was really surprised to see the head of the fleet, of this famous general, and he's in charge of this massive army, to be the guy on the away mission to do this with his husband. It seemed a little bit,
Well, what could possibly go wrong?
We got to do rule of cool here, right? We've got to have him in a wingsuit and doing stuff. So,
yeah.
All right. On the surface of Siwenna, Rios and Kerr are confronted by some locals who found the extraction kit. When a woman spits on Kerr, Rios attacks, leading to a deadly confrontation in which all but one of the locals are killed. The last one runs to get reinforcements, and the two argue about Rios's quick temper. Temper.
Yeah. So I guess this is why you don't go with your spouse, right? Because somebody gets spat on and the other one goes, "Hey!" And
or then you argue like, why the hell did you do that? I had the situation totally in. So I don't know if you go to Home Depot or IKEA with your spouse.
Have you ever
usually go well?
Did you watch 30 Rock back in the day?
I did.
Did you see the IKEA episode?
Didn't they get lost in it or something? Or
no, there's this whole thing where IKEA gets joy in the show. IKEA gets joy out of breaking couples up. So the workers are just like lurking and watching them fight and going, yes,
feeding off the energy.
Yeah.
That's great.
I live for this. So so that's this mission for them.
Totally, completely. So, but you like the action sequence here.
I did like this. I thought it, like I said, I think it spiraled out of control very quickly in a way that felt real because these people were very reactionary. I also really liked that they did something that they never do in these action sequences, which is they did not care about their comrade. These guys are like, we're going to kill this lady if you don't put your guns down. And they laugh. They laugh in his face. And then
open fire. Yeah.
At that moment, Kerr knew he messed up, right? He was like, oh yeah, this was not the move.
Right. Yeah. And it really, and Bell jumps the gun on that. He understands the situation faster than Glaywin does. And so he acts, but Glaywin's not ready for it. So yeah, we get a little conflict between the pair here. So
yeah, Bell was great at solving the problem he freaking caused.
Yeah. And I think Bell, he even says at the end, that was cathartic. But he certainly was enjoying himself. He felt he felt he had a sort of a smile on his face during the whole of the action. So,
which is troubling because people died and you're having a blast. I mean, I think part of it is he likes being in control again instead of being essentially a slave to the Empire.
That's a good point. What? No auras? They don't have personal. The commander of the fleet certainly would have a personal aura, wouldn't he?
Oh, I thought that it was only Empire. I thought it was literally only Empire.
Interesting. Okay,
that's my understanding. Nobody else. I could be wrong, but I thought that it was just for them.
Well, then we'd be into Dune for sure because everybody's got shields, those personal shield things in Dune. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the time you recognize an atrocity, you may already be complicit in one.
Yeah.
This was a really interesting line. Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to recognize it when you're in the middle of it, right?
Right. And again, it goes to Glaywin having doubts and reservations and asking why and what are we doing and is this really the right thing to do? He's almost a moral conscious, balancing Bell in some ways, but kind of in an annoying way slightly because he doesn't do it tactfully. He really does a lot of finger wagging.
Yeah, but I almost wonder if they're setting up Kerr to have to mutiny against his husband.
Yes.
Because Rios is just going to take something one step too far. And I don't want him to just have to kill him, but maybe throw him in the brig.
Well, and this is what I was saying last episode, that I think Glaywin is going to die because he's going to say something that is seditious, and Empire is going to be like, off with your head. And then Bell is like, okay, you really killed my husband this time. And where does that put me in relationship to my emperor, who I swore an oath to?
Yeah, it's tricky, right? It's
tricky.
Yeah.
That's why you don't go on away missions with your spouse.
Exactly.
It's not a good idea.
They never say seditious things if they don't go on the away mission.
Real quick, the little buggy thing that the locals had. It's called an Argo, and in the 70s, my Gen X people will know that this was kind of a thing. So to see one in a show was very cool. They were in the back of comic books, and every once in a while you'd see one on like the what was it, the Steve Austin, the Bionic Man, when he was fighting Bigfoot, and all this kind of stuff. So it was cool to see that. I don't know if that was just a practical thing, or if Goyer, who's a contemporary, said, "Hey, let's throw one of those in there." But it was fun.
I have no idea, but that's cool.
All right. On Terminus, Polly and Constance show Hober the vault with his name on it. Hober sees the remains of the warden and is afraid, but accidentally backs up in the vault and is sucked in. Polly and Constance follow Hober in, and Cermak reluctantly joins them a moment later. Inside the vault, they meet Hober, who's been waiting 2 days in his time, even though it took Constance and Polly only 2 minutes to walk in from the outside. Polly believes that they are inside the mathematics of Harry Seldon. So we kind of talked about the dump line. So
let's let it go. Let's let it go.
Exactly.
Other than that, Hober was very charming. And again, really great addition to the show. I think really changes the flavor of the show in a good way. And them getting lost. Well, you are lost. That was a really great moment.
Right.
And and the running bit with the bar was really good. When he was you have a Ralph barn. You have a Ralph barn.
Yes, exactly.
When he was so like, you have these on the ship before.
What is it? Yeah. You have one. It was.
Yeah. You get really a sense that this guy has learned to live on necessity.
Mm-hmm. So going inside of the Prime Radiant, it was a very TARDIS and Doctor Who kind of thing. So
it looked a lot better than Doctor Who, though.
Yeah, and it looks like they reused some of the sets from the Prime Radiant in the beginning with those weird step things.
Yeah,
I'm sure they build a big enough set like that. You want to kind of get your money, out of it. So it felt very much like, which is fine. I'm not criticizing. I'm just pointing out from.
I thought it looked great this episode, especially.
All right, within the vault, the group follows the music to a dinner party hosted by Harry, who explains that the math of the vault can rearrange molecules and create things like food from his body. He praises the clerics for their service in the religious age, then enlists the group in his new initiative to avoid war with Empire. Polly and Constance are sent to Trantor to treat with Empire, but Hover... I gotta marker this again. Polly and Constance are sent to Trantor to treat with Empire, but Hober is given a secret mission to become the blade behind the Foundation's back.
You taste delicious, by the way.
And you have a very fine suit, my friend.
Yeah. There were a lot of great lines here. I really loved, again, Hober, the actor. I gotta find out his name. Get me on IMDb, David.
Okay, but here it comes.
But Hober, the actor, was so good when at first Constance goes, "So this would be from your body." He looks up and he's like, and then he thinks to himself, he goes, "All right, but I'm really hungry."
So delicious. You're so delicious.
I mean, you know what? All food is based on reconstituted remains at some level.
That's right.
He's rearranged it. It's not his body anymore.
Right.
I think if I were starving, I think Hober's right.
Right. It's just molecules. Dimitri Leonidas is Hober's actor. Is the actor?
Well, great job.
Actor.
I've never seen him in anything, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I'm not familiar with him either. But we'll have to take a look to see what else he's done. Yeah, nothing notable. A lot of stuff is what I can say. He was in the Monuments Men. He's in Foundation, obviously. Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's got a long filmography, and what he has done, it's not top tier stuff. So
I kind of wish he was playing Matt in the Wheel of Time. He has that vibe.
Oh, really? Is this
so.
Nail It? Yeah.
That's the Matt tone for the middle books.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Hey, it's never too late. We're only on season 2, so
yeah, we've already recast once, so
yeah,
we can
do it again.
recast 5 more times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So a tesseract is not only an artifact in the MCU, but it is a real geometrical object. It's a cube within a cube.
Yeah, so I thought it was just an MCU thing, and then he said it, and I was like, what?
Yeah. Yep.
Do I have to call Jean and Elysia? Like, exactly. I don't know what to do here.
No, just go to Wikipedia. There's a whole article. I tried to read it. It hurt my brain. And so the thing that I was able to understand is that it's a cube within a cube.
Okay.
And then
I believe you.
And a polychron is a 4-dimensional object. So these are all true mathematical things that they're talking about. So tesseract is a polychron and da 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 da. So like a maple is a tree, right? It's
right.
I think it's polychron is the larger thing. I tried to read the articles on both of these, and it hurt me. So
it's cool. It's cool.
And again, they sweat the details on the math stuff, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a mathematician write in and be like, "This math is horseshit, and you should all be embarrassed for liking it
and ashamed that you're watching the show."
Yeah.
Back on Siwenna, Rios and Kerr meet with the informant, a patrician named Dusum. I think, am I saying that right?
Dusum, yeah.
Dusum, who has remained loyal to Empire after its retreat from the Outer Rim. Dusum tells them about the magicians representing the Foundation, including the personal aura technology and their whisper ships that jump travel without spacers. He gifts them a book about the morality of war before the locals come to attack. Dusum reveals that he's poisoned himself and requests he be shot before they escape.
I really liked the code phrases that they introduced them with. It felt very natural.
Yeah.
This working things in and his slow realization. I think everyone really did their acting job here. It sold me on it.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy's just kind of a noble, right? And he's living as just a regular guy. Man. Yeah, right? He's a patrician, right? So he's a noble. He's living as this regular guy on this planet. I think later he refers to the people as his friends, right? These people are my friends.
Right, yeah, people he's
rather
known
not
for
be
all
tortured
these years.
by them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in the market scene in
he was.
episode 1. So
he was the guy with the eye, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So, interesting. The title of this episode, Where the Stars Are Scattered Thinly, this is a line out of the book Foundation and Empire.
Okay.
And this whole scene is an inspired scene directly out of the book where Belrios and the nobleman, the patrician, meet. And in the book sequence, I won't go deep into it, but Bell uses the line where the stars are scattered thinly, and I think it's something goes like, space is cold, or something to that effect. They drink tea, and a bunch of stuff happens in the book, so they see books on the shelves, and that's a big deal. So all of this is directly out of the books, but it's jumbled up and chopped up to make the story work. But I love the fact that they took this one line where the stars are scattered thinly and turned it into the code phrase.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, it's a really nice bit of work, of inspired work directly from the books. So
cool.
All right. Something else. Okay. Again, more.
I see your deep dive written in, so go for it.
It's all here. So the book that Glaywin looks at is the Bhagavad Gita, or it's a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, which is a small chapter in a Sanskrit epic called the Mahabharata.
Okay.
That was written sometime around the 3rd century BCE. We're not sure when. And the Mahabharata is around 1.8 million words long. It is longer than the Iliad and the Odyssey together by a factor of like 10 or something like that. It is insanely huge. And it's this massive story about these two groups of cousins who are in conflict with each other. And it's full of teachings around morality and creation mythology and fictional, what do you do if your brother's fighting and how do you solve these problems? It talks about love. It's just full of incredible teachings and stuff. And back in the mid 90s, there was a play that was made, that somebody made a play of it, and then they televised that play. So they had sort of a teleplay, and it was like PBS and stuff. And it was something, when I saw it, it just blew me out of the water. I loved this. It was just an incredible thing. And I've read the Mahabharata, a very condensed, translation version of it a few times. And so this conversation, so the Bhagavad Gita is a small chapter within the Mahabharata, and it's a conversation between a character named Arjuna and Krishna, the god Krishna, who is an avatar of the god Vishnu. Krishna is kind of I'm not doing a direct comparison, but it's kind of a Christ-like figure in the sense that there's a bigger God up there, and then here I am, a flesh and blood embodiment on the earth with you here now.
Gotcha.
And so they have this, they're on the edge of battle. The two forces are lined up and arrayed, and the only thing that they're waiting for is for Arjuna to blow his horn, and then they'll go to war. So as Arjuna's realizing the gravity of the situation, that he's about to send millions of people to their deaths, he's going to be fighting with his family, his brothers may end up being, injured or killed themselves. He has this moment of crisis, and he's like, I can't do it. It's like, this is crazy. War is insane. It's horrible. And so Krishna sits with him, and they stop and they talk for hours. And he walks him through. Have you done everything that you can to avoid this war? Is there anything else that you could have done? Or are we at the point where there is no other action to take? If there is no other action to take, then you must follow something that's called your dharma, the right action, the noble action, the way that you're supposed to, execute on things with honor and tradition and whatever, blah, blah, blah. So he counsels him through this of like going through all the morality of the situation. And then in the end, having to choose to act, to make a choice to act, because there is no other choices to be made, that this is what you've got to do. Because the other side's just not going to negotiate. They're just not willing to have any more conversation. And there's a lot of bad blood between both sides. So that Glaewin is looking at this and taking it. And he even says, the patrician even calls him out and says, it's, you're a guy that asks the question, why? Why are we doing this? Why is this necessary? What is this about? That's the question that we need to ask. And so Glaewin, as this voice of questioning and morality next to Bell, as Foundation and Empire are approaching the battle lines with each other, at some point, is Bell going to hesitate? Is he going to think about this because he knows the cost of war? Or is Glaewin going to say or do something like, so I think
my money's on Glaewin.
I don't know what's going to happen, but the fact that they're bringing us to the brink of war is the interesting thing. And then that this book has something to say about it, I think is fascinating. And it makes me love the show all the reason more.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. I did not realize that this was a real historical piece of work rather than something made up for the show.
Yeah. And that's again, like with the banyan tree or, this other stuff that they're mining our rich history, because the earth has got a lot going on.
Sure does.
And then being able to weave it into the story is exactly the kind of science fiction that is, really satisfying. Good stuff.
My question is, if you can have a copy of this piece of work, this very specific piece of work, how do you not have a record that it came from Earth? How do you not have one book in this entire galaxy that says, oh yeah, we came from Earth?
Right.
Nothing? You got no history books. You didn't have any.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Seems like a little bit of a plot hole, but whatever.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that may be a little hand-wavy bit that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
So, Glaywin does mention the evolutionary AI, and they're really blown away by whisper ships and personal aura technology. So, yeah, that really cements the fact that Foundation is a perceivable threat now.
Yeah.
To
and the evolutionary AI thing, is that a clue about Harry?
Yes.
Is that a clue about
Calais,
yeah.
the Prime Radiant, what's her name? Demerzel.
Yeah.
All of it. Like, yeah. So, yeah, that's a good pick, though. That is absolutely a good pick.
Right. Cool.
Okay. All right. In the vault, Harry tells the group that the Prime Radiant is a quantum computer that exists in a state of superposition, meaning it can be in more than one place at once. Cermak makes another pitch for war, but Harry insists on diplomacy. He counsels the group to hide the new jump technology from the Empire. Harry also tells Polly he killed the Warden to be intermittently wrathful and prevent the Warden from claiming to be his divine vassal. Polly then abstains from drinking. Let no being presume upon my mercy.
Yeah, Polly was as freaked out as me about that line. Harry said that, and I went, "Oh no, yeah, that's not good here. That's definitely not good that you are talking like an actual god right now."
Right. Well, statistically significant, the Warden wasn't that important in the grand scheme of things. Look, even though to him, he was himself, he was important.
Look, I did not care for the Warden. I thought he was kind of a jerk. He was kind of a bully. He assumed that he knew what was right. He'd probably be a warmonger in this situation, just like Cermak, and then it would be 2-1 when he goes against Polly. Right. However, that wasn't just a slap on the wrist, guy. He's ashes.
Right.
All Harry would have to do is come out and say, "Look at this. This guy is pathetic. He's just trying to get me to come out and treat me like a god. Come on. We're better than this. Let's get this going. Let's fix what's going on."
But we're in the religion phase, and this is going to play, right? Okay. This plays.
All right. Somebody build an ark.
What do you think about this? The church will fall away in time and be replaced by another mechanism.
That made me go, huh. I think I've talked about before, you need something to believe in, right? You need some kind of shared belief to have a functioning society. They did the technology. They did the encyclopedia. Now they're on the religious phase. I think they were going towards militarism. But can we sub something else out, right?
Right.
I don't know.
And is it a phase? Do you just grow out of it eventually?
Right.
If you don't kill yourself on your society on the way out.
Right. Yeah, it's a good question. There was this old theory posited by some people, I don't know what kind of scientists, but called spiral dynamics, that talked about different levels of the development of civilization. I know we just talked about that scale earlier, but this is sort of different because it focuses on people and what they do. And it starts off with very, like a red civilization where everything is about who's stronger than the other person. It moves on to more of a religious-based situation where there are very strict rules and you have to follow them, and that's how you keep society together. Then you go into these more like science, logic-based situations. But I don't know how scientifically supported this is now, because I don't think this really caught fire. But this theory always fascinated me, and I think it may work well in a storytelling medium.
Okay.
Rather than as using as some kind of handbook to civilization.
Right. Yeah, I thought it to me, in this scene, in this situation, the idea that Harry he's engineered society, right?
Right.
And he's brought Thespins and Anacreons together with Foundation.
Yep.
And now they're ascending and they're going to challenge. And I think, without getting too far into the books, that comes later, is that they're sort of, I think it's 3 major forces, sort of stories, sort of ways of being that come into conflict. Is it 3 or 4 that, if we're going to survive as a species, we have to figure out this modality, this way of being, this belief structure or way of working in some way. And I think that this is hinting at that. Same as the idea that you were talking about is, where are we on this sort of scale and what sort of end result will that get us?
Yeah. This line, a passing ghost, drop your name.
Yeah. What did you make of that?
Who is the passing ghost? Is it Calais?
Yeah, but well, we haven't seen Calais moving around, but she can fold space, at least according to her mathematics.
She was in the Prime Radiant. She was on the mountain. Like, she knew that she was there. So I don't know. It's honestly, the rules are squishy enough right now where it could be anybody.
Right.
But I don't know.
And is it just a Wi-Fi, maybe a ship passing by and his Wi-Fi connection, got a hold of it? I don't know.
Or is it that Gail heard the name Hober Mallow in her vision, and she talked about it with that Harry Seldon, who we know is part of the Prime Radiant, which is super positioned and is in both places, and then the Prime Radiant told this Harry. I don't know.
That could be interesting.
Maybe the passing ghost is the mule.
Yeah. That could be interesting if the Prime Radiant is superpositioned with the one that's in there. But God, yeah. All right. So this is, like you say, it's still squishy. I don't know what yet to make of it.
It's too squishy. They got to clean this up a little bit.
Right.
And I think they will.
Yeah. I hope, hopefully. So superposition. Yeah. Two things. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. We're definitely going to have to see where they take it with this. I think they're
drunk and the monk.
The drunk and the monk. Montepulciano di Abruzzo. Or what did we have? We had what was it? I can't even think of what he said. It's anyway, that's a real wine that he's talking about, except it's from another galaxy.
So wait, the
blend is you
have these words that come from I don't know. You're bringing too many things from my time in
chess.
Well, you're telling me that words. You don't know what planet you're from.
Yeah,
that's interesting. That says to me that's a little silly to me. I'll be honest.
Okay, well, let's see where it goes. Right? Maybe they're messing with us. What did you make of Polly not taking a drink as he walks out?
I think he heard Harry being wrathful and went, I got to get my shit together because somebody needs to be a counterweight on this.
I was kind of thinking that he's been, like we were saying before, I think you said this in a podcast or two ago, that he was sort of self-medicating because he's having to do this silly religion thing when he doesn't really want to.
That's part of it too, for sure.
Yeah. And so now he's got a real mission.
Yeah.
Stop war with Empire.
Right.
And that's something he can believe in. And yeah, he can't be drunk while doing that.
Right. Cermak is, of course, left without a mission.
But he still has a fine suit.
Just get out of here. Just get out of here.
Fine suit, director. Fine suit.
Yeah.
All right. And now we have, we don't really need to talk about the college of his father's fists.
Yeah, we kind of mentioned that.
Yeah. So, but this idea of a blade behind the fist behind the back with a blade.
Yes. What is Harry planning with Hobart Mallow?
Yeah. Where is he going? And what does Harry know that we don't? That he's got to send.
He's going to get the spider robots. Create an army of spider robots.
Right. Get those guys fired up. Sick them on Empire. Okay. Let's go to the Secret Garden. Dominion and Rue hire an Imperial soldier named Markley. Not Malarkey. Markley. To investigate whether Day orchestrated the death of Sereth's family. They reveal that Dominion has created technology to thwart memory audits. Sereth also asks Markley to get the security footage of Day's assassination attempt to determine how Day survived.
Yeah, a lot here. We learn they've gotten past the memory audits. Rue's doing a great job of acting in front of Dusk like she doesn't remember.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, she really did. Yeah.
She's good at deception. We've learned that. Unless
Yep.
they're lying
Forcing
about
tricks.
They're lying in one of these spots, right? Either she doesn't remember and they don't actually have that technology. Although I think that's unlikely.
I think that's unlikely.
Or she's really good at lying to Dusk.
She's really good at lying to Dusk. She knows what she's doing. She's got power. I love the fact, too, to see this character who knows that she has power and she knows how to use it. She knows how to wield it and to work. So she's sort of at the top of her game. The question is Empire's game better than Dominion's game?
Yeah, I don't think it is. They're kind of silly boys now.
Yeah. What do you make of the scars on Markley's face? That was quite an interesting reveal.
I don't know. I haven't seen many Imperial soldiers. That's one of the problems.
Right.
Is he a soldier? Is he security? I don't think that was made super
security.
clear.
I don't think he's
He was
not
security.
like army. He's like
Okay.
Internal police security.
I mean, if you need an ID badge for these guys, tattoos aren't a bad one, right?
Yeah. So
right, a little.
Well, it's not a tattoo; it's scars. Those are.
Oh yeah.
Those are scars. So, and they're very prominent, and so I think we're going to see some more about that.
Yeah.
All right. Hober tells the drunk and the monk he needs their ship to go where Harry is sending him, which should already be programmed into the ship. Constant warns Hober about Becky and then tells Hober she was planning to become intimate with him as her first. She believes they won't see each other again and then gives him a kiss goodbye. Hober fails to guess her name again and then flies off.
Weenus?
Yes.
Weenus?
No.
Yeah, that was so good. He's like, oh, Weenus. Like he thinks he got it.
They were having so much fun writing that scene. You can just tell. The comic timing between Isabella and Dimitri, the two actors, is just perfect. They really have some fun chemistry going on. So it makes these scenes all a little bit more spicy and sparky. So
yeah. And again, I think that the drunk, not the monk, the drunk was going onto the ship so that he could not see whatever was about to happen between them. Because
sure, just as much as needing to get his stuff, right?
He didn't say, hey, let's go on the ship. He said, I'll go get our stuff. You relax.
Right.
I did also enjoy her delivery of, we've been waiting 3 years.
That was hilarious. I was like, 3 years? Are you kidding me? She totally got me. Got me.
Yeah. And then, but then of course, Polly has to be the good guy. Oh, it's only been 3 hours. Polly, you ruined my joke.
That was a really inspired, and it was a fun play on for us science fiction nerds of the whole thing of time dilation and being inside a TARDIS like space and stuff like that. So
I mean, we've been traveling many years. 3 years would be nothing in this show.
So real, real nod and a wink to all of us with that. So it was
there's not a lot of laugh out loud moments in this show, and this episode was packed with them.
Yes, I'm not a robe chaser. I'd rather be 10th on the list.
Right.
All of this stuff was just all these lines.
Yeah.
Good luck making peace with Empire. Have fun storming the castle.
Yeah. So silly. The Becky line, that was really funny. Make sure you don't overfeed her.
She knows that I'm sweet on you. So like just this packed with good stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right. Closing monologue from Gale. With few exceptions, attraction is entirely irrelevant to human history. It only matters on the small scale of the human heart.
Disagree, Gale. Disagree.
You don't think attraction at scale, you think attraction matters at scale?
I think that if attraction, I guess attraction alone doesn't, but if you're attracted to somebody, you marry them, you have babies, and then you want to protect your whole family, then yes, that matters at scale, because if you're powerful enough, you could make the world burn to save your babies.
Mm-hmm. And is that predictable within the scope of the species, of the longevity?
Whether it's predictable or not, it still has an effect, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I don't know. What happens when you have the Empire babies that are no longer part of the Cleonic dynasty?
Yeah.
Would Cleon let Trantor burn to save his babies?
What if
Probably.
Cleon is attracted to Clean's Queen Sereth, right? You know,
Right.
Plenty of rulers have been led down crazy paths, chasing their hearts or chasing what's in their pants. So
right. They did a whole series on that. It was called Game of Thrones. I don't know if you've heard of it, David.
I think so. I've watched maybe a couple of episodes of that.
All right. Well, this was a good episode. I had fun. This was fun to watch. It was fun to talk about. And now it's over.
Any other questions besides where Hober is going? Should we add something about the Prime Radiant being superpositioned?
The Prime Radiant being superpositioned. Yeah, sure. I guess. What does that mean? What is there Radiant Phi? Is there some kind of Radiant network?
What does its superposition mean? I'm going to add the scars on the face of the guard.
Okay. I like it
as something, because
I guess running question is, what are Sarah's intentions? That's a big one, but I think
we know what Sarah's intentions are, right? She wants to find out if Dawn was involved in the murder of her family.
Yeah. I think that's her outward intention. I don't know if she has any intention at all to have this union. I think she might. I think that's a possibility, but clearly only if he was not involved in the murder.
Like a banyan tree, is she dropping onto the plant of Empire to see if she can grow onto it and take it over?
Right. Possibly. And it also could be, are we looking at straight up revenge? Are we looking at a savvy political play where she ends up in a better position, but maybe she doesn't get pure revenge?
Right.
I don't know.
Okay.
Time for the outro, I guess. Oh, no, I'm sorry. We have feedback.
We do.
What am I saying? We're going to blow past feedback? Well, before we do feedback, let's take a quick break. And we're back. Let's get into some feedback. First up, we have Marilyn Arpukila, our favorite Tolkien scholar. She wrote in about episode 2. She says, I have too many comments to put in Discord, so I'm resorting back to my favorite approach of emailing. Hope that's not too much of a kerfluffle for you.
Not at all. And just to everyone, a reminder, empire@thelorehounds.com is the best way to send us feedback. And if that doesn't work, if you don't want to hassle with email, head over to our website, voicemail, or contact form.
Regarding the changing images in the opening montage, I noticed them too, and I think that the partial skull face is representing Demerzel, and that horrible moment from season 1 where she was so distraught at having to kill Brother Dawn that she tore off parts of her own face. That was the only truly disturbing scene I have seen so far.
Yes,
this is before, of course, she saw Titan's prick.
I think Demerzel tearing her face off is pretty. Yes. That's a rough scene.
I'm curious if Marilyn will write in about the grotesqueness of that scene, though.
Well, it's very, I don't know. It's certainly humanity has invented plenty of stuff like that in our own past, so
it's real.
Seeing it on screen, yeah. So
she continues. I find it interesting that Harry was imprisoned with consciousness intact in the thumb drive, just as Azura was conscious and imprisoned in the sensory deprivation tank. I'm not sure which would be worse. How about you? Personally, I'm reminded of today's early versions of ChatGPT, not to mention Mrs. Davis, when we start talking about putting personality into a thumb drive. Holy AI Batman. Yeah.
Now you've seen...
What's worse? I would say Azura. I would say very much Azura. You know that all your family's dead, right? And
yeah, I was going to say, as a reminder, Azura is the young woman who is the gardener who fooled Dawn and got him out of the city, and then Day imprisoned her to live a lifetime in a sensory deprivation.
Right after he killed everyone who ever knew her.
Right, and everyone who ever knew people who knew her.
Right,
what was it, like 1,400
wiped
people?
Out the network. Anyone who would know any trace of her.
And he did that little finger twist thing.
Yeah, the finger twist. Oh my God, there's some great gifs of that on
really?
Twitter.
Yeah,
because when I do tweets, I try to do a little.
It's X now, John.
Okay. Did you see my little meme with the Lord of the Rings?
Yes, I did. I thought it was very funny.
I had.
You can
fun
find
with
us
that
on
one.
X at the Lorehounds if you still do the old Twitter thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna still call it Twitter. So anyway, yeah. So she had a terrible time because I think Harry can at least manipulate his environment within the Prime Radiant.
I think it'd be better to be in the vault than the Prime Radiant or in the knife in the USB stick.
Okay.
I think the vault seemed to be a little bit more cushy, even if time does slip while he's in there.
Okay. Fair enough. She continues, one of the reasons why I think the actor is playing Salvor Hardin with such a flat affect is that Salvor is the warden, and so she felt she needed to maintain an unflappable public face. I found her expressive enough when she was on her own. I really hate it when books or shows decide to show love as a fault or a weakness, rather than showing it requiring the strength that it demands. I see this not just in how the Jedi are represented, but also riddled throughout Game of Thrones, as well as other lesser known properties. I agree with that point, Marilyn. I think that it is a tougher question of what do you do when you do love rather than avoid love. And I do think Star Wars has come around to that. Star Wars has started to wrestle with that more with people like Ahsoka, with people like Luke Skywalker, even with people like Ezra and Kanan and all the whole Rebels crew. So I think we're finally moving past that in there. Salvor Hardin, I see what you're saying with the warden thing. I think even when she's with Gale and sort of on her own, I'm just not loving what she's doing with this. But that might just be a preference.
She's better this season, I think. And we talked about it in a previous, is that she's a Brit playing with an American accent.
Just let her be a Brit.
Yeah.
I do not understand why she needed to be American in this.
Yeah. No, I don't know either.
So. I don't know. She continues. I really like the book Sapiens, and Yuval Noah Harari is a favorite author of my partner. Yeah, I recommended that book in a previous podcast. It's really great. It talks about sort of the foundation of civilization and how humans develop. She says also in the books, the second foundation is intended to do course corrections for everyone, not just for the first foundation. Of course, they've changed so many things in the show, and this is just one more to up the stakes, it seems. The TV mule is very different from the books, and this is the first time that I've actually cared about a discrepancy. I really hope that was an alternative vision, not what will actually be happening, but I'm rather afraid that they will have done away with the plotline involving a favorite couple of mine, which includes one of the two only female viewpoint characters in the first 3 books of the series, as well as a lot of time spent with the mule. Marilyn continues with some details on the mule, but they seem to be a little bit spoilery about the book, so we're going to save that for if they become relevant later in the season or in the show generally. She also confirms, David, that the Hindu deity that you were thinking of was Vishnu.
Right, from the last episode. And then when I was doing my Bhagavad Gita research this episode, I remembered that it is Vishnu. Or, the research pointed me in the right direction.
Right. She continues with some more spoilers from the book series, but we'll leave that for now. She's on to episode 3. Thanks for writing in, Marilyn.
As always. Yeah, it's interesting. I've heard from hearing other people talk about it. Foundation, pardon the use of phrase, is foundational for a lot of readers and people who are into Foundation. I don't think there are as many as there are Tolkien fans. I think the population is a much smaller
definitely
set of people. But for those people that are into Foundation, it's as important for them as Tolkien is for Tolkien readers. So we do want to be careful and not spoil anything in the book, because if you do go, it's a little dry pie, but that's like a circumstantial thing about when he was writing. And I think when you get into the larger world and you really pick up what he was writing about, it's very impactful stuff, and it's big ideas, right? It's a lot of big ideas.
Yeah. All right. I get that. Next up is Duve71.
Hey, Duve.
Regular writer and regular contributor on the Discord. Twitter fiend, X-Fiend, I guess
X-Fiend, X.
And we love Duve. So Duve writes in, says, a solid 7.5 for episode 3, but still a 10 out of 10 for the pod. Hey, thanks, Duve.
Oh, shucks.
What a lovely sentiment. Like you, I was a bit meh on the unnecessary action bits, but also it's tentpole sci-fi for Apple. So if it brings in more punters for Foundation, then it's cool.
Yes, agreed. I think this episode, this season, is going to have a lot more for the punters, as you say. That it's going to a little bit more, a few more explosions, a few more fight scenes. It will definitely, and you can see that in the trailer for the couple of trailers that they did for the season. There was very action packed. So I think Goyer's trying to balance the action from the big ideas, so that you get both. And if you come for the action, you're not going to get bored by the big ideas. But for us big idea folks, we can love it just as much.
Right. Duve says, I jumped back on the Discord as the Lee Pace love seemed to have subsided. What you got up against Lee Pace? Let's talk about this, Duve. Write me. And he says the missus was disappointed with the lack of shirtless Brother Day. In there, I commented that I commented on the Wessalian Rift and how I have been fortunate to have a friend who made cider. So I have been to a number of wassailings. Not sure if that's spelled right. Some I can't remember due to too much imbibing of scrumpy, which is the name for cider in the West Country of England. Was just cool to see it on the show. David, what is a wassailing? I still don't know.
I think that's where you crush or you squeeze the apples and you make the cider. You actually do the cider making. You take the raw stuff. So,
okay.
Or is it when you're unbottling it? I don't know. Anyway,
it could be anything. We'll never know.
I like the fact that
enigma.
I like the fact that the whole Wessalian Rift is I really do wonder if somebody on the writing staff, threw that in for fun.
Yeah. He continues on historical themes. It's great that Marilyn has jumped into the Foundation fray. Totally agree. She always classes the joint up. I was interested with her takes on Foundation's Empire and the Romans. The introduction of Bel Rios is giving me thoughts on Julius Caesar versus Pompey. Yes. Will we see a crossing of the Rubicon moment for our newly introduced general? They are definitely setting up an empire beset on all sides, attacks from within and without. Who will be the barbarians at the gate? Gale, Foundation 1, the Mule, or the Return of the Robots? On Bell, when he was being given the task from Brother Day, I thought it was a recon or intel gathering exercise, but in the hero shot of the Destiny jumping, we saw the entirety of the 20th Fleet, which implies it won't be a stealthy reconnaissance. More of what we term in the military as a reconnaissance in force. Could there be a clash between the 20th and the militarized society of this ep, or even an alliance? Well, Duve, you wrote this after episode 3. Right now we're on episode 4. And sadly, you've not had the benefit of knowing what actually happened in episode 4. But it was not a big fight. I think we're still on the recon for now.
Yeah, I think, I think like firefighters, they show up with every piece of apparatus they can at a fire because you don't even know how big or how much you're going to need. So I think they're probably sending the 20th out there so that as their forward deployed forces can do some recon, they've got all the muscle that they need if Day were to give the order to wipe them out, which is interesting because at the same time we have the 20th rolling in, we've got the drunk and the monk heading back towards Trantor to try to convince them to not attack.
Right.
Meanwhile, Foundation doesn't know Empire's coming at them, but they certainly have, they feel ready for a fight. The director in his nice suit think that they've got what it takes to take on the Empire. So yeah, here we have two forces marshaling together.
Duve says, on an aside, if you want a Roman soldier's perspective on a crumbling empire, you can't do wrong by checking out the Vindolanda series of books by Adrian Goldsworthy. It's set in northern Britannia towards the decline of the Roman Empire. Lots of various factions and powers encroaching on imperial territory and how it erodes the Pax Romana. plus how disconnected Rome became from its colonial outposts and the effect that had on peoples who had known nothing else but imperial rule. With Marilyn on board, she is bound to hit us all up with more scholarly takes on how Asimov drew on history of ancient empires for the story. But obviously the writers of the show have recent history with the decline of the British Empire to utilize as well, which was more of a whimper than a bang.
True. John, did you ever watch the HBO series Rome?
No, I did not.
So it was in the early days of, it was sort of in the pre-Golden era, pre-Breaking Bad and Mad Men. And it's definitely predecessor in terms of quality, but it's a really interesting look into Roman society and Caesar and Gaius Julius Caesar, and what's the name of the other guy that he mentioned in the previous? I'm blanking now. Anyway, the other general who was a friend of Pompey. That's who it was.
Okay.
And it's got some known actors that you see. One of the guys just recently passed away, who was quite a interesting character actor. And I don't know if you ever get around to it. It's something kind of fun to watch. It's vulgar in some ways, and it's interesting in terms of television. But it's a good look at hypothetically what Rome was like.
Well, I currently have far too much watching on my plate, but when I don't, at some point, hypothetically in the future,
someday,
I will check it out. One more episode 3 feedback. I'm really thinking that we are being set up for a reemergence of the robots as a force. AI and autonomous machines are being introduced a lot this season. Who was that? The statue of on Una's world, and is Harry meat or machine? I didn't even get into some foreshadowing from David on the blue-green planet that may be a third rock from its sun, or why the vault wants Hober Mallow.
So the Una's World statue, I think that's a really good pick. That's something we should pay attention, because they did kind of close up on it and show us that person's face really quick. And so you were positing that, is Harry a robot? Or and I think DJ Miwa was talking about this on the Discord as well. Is Harry a clone? That's obvious, right? That he could just be a clone. But then how did he glow? How did they grow a clone so quick? Or was his body already there and they just needed to transfer the consciousness in?
I don't know.
So I think clone or robot, I think, are both really potentially very active theories, right?
I like the robot better only because I think it fits the plot better.
I think it'd be cooler. I think it'd be more rule of cool.
You've got this, this slow background building of a robot rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I like it, but I can see the clones too. You know, that you have a clone Harry against the clone Empire, and
right. Yeah. Well, and as Foundation becomes more like Empire, and we talked about that in the previous episode where we had the bust of Hober Mallow, which is very reminiscent of the busts of all the Cleons,
right?
Back on Terminus. Something else, another missable detail back on Terminus on the big conference room table. If you look in the center of it as decoration, there's all these little half orb things. I think those are all the planets that Foundation has brought to within its under its control.
I buy that.
Yeah. So take a look at that if you rewatch the episode, or in another one where we see the conference room.
Cool. One more feedback from a Rocky Zim on Discord.
Hey, Rocky.
I'm enjoying the series. I know that Goyer is doing his best to incorporate themes and ideas from the books. We don't know when the Foundation got to Terminus. The people who arrived at Terminus didn't know about it until they found it. He has been making this plan for a long time. Harry is a smart guy and was living on Trantor. I am thinking he had ways to gain info from Empire and improved some things. I am treating it like Interstellar, where they are trying to make this as accurate as they can, explain different ideas and things going on. So I've seen people debating how the vault got to Terminus first.
Uh-huh.
And something that somebody said that I liked a lot because I think it explains it well is, well, you can move something faster if it doesn't have living beings on it, right? You don't have to worry about killing them.
That said that.
Oh, that was you? Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, I was DJ Miwa and I were kicking some stuff around. He was saying some things and about this question about the vault. And it just occurred to me, well, like in The Expanse, when they shoot a missile, the reason a missile can catch up with a ship is that there's no organics inside of it. So
yeah, I like that. I like that theory.
They can go way faster. So that's what seemed logical to me at the time.
Yeah, we know it does have Harry's body on it.
Right.
So it's got to be, it had to have been launched after he died.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I guess it has to be what you said. Otherwise it doesn't make sense.
Right. It had to get ahead because it's not a jump, unless it had jump ship technology, which I don't think it did. So.
Right. All right, David, why don't we do our programming notes quickly and then we'll move into our Patreon shout outs.
Sounds good. We've got a lot going on. We're into August. John, how is it August already? What happened?
I don't know. And you're going to be gone half the month, so
yes.
I'm all alone. There's no one here beside me. I know. I've already planned an extra podcast while you're gone.
I saw you on our production server.
It's
banging
scheduled
away.
now. It's happening, so I can talk about it. So,
which one? Yeah.
Good Omens. We're
nice.
John and Elysia and I are going to get together, and we're going to talk Good Omens season 2.
That's going to be a fun crow to talk about.
Yeah, it was really good. Honestly, I really like the season.
Okay.
David Tennant is what a treasure.
Great. Yeah.
And Michael Sheen, so funny. Together, just absolutely perfect. If you've not been on the channel, we have a channel under the One Shots on our Discord, so you can already chat about the series. Then make sure you send in feedback. You can send it, contact forum, Discord, or lorehounds.com. Yep.
The generic address. So yeah, and that's the thing. We have this format now called One Shots where we can do this, and we've covered The Bear. You guys covered Mrs. Davis. Anthony and I did Asteroid City, and we've got some more things cooking along those lines. So
it's nice because I just put out a message. We have a little all-call channel in our production server where you can say, "Yeah, I'm interested in covering this. Anybody else?" And we've got a little family now where you can get a few members going on.
It's fun. It's fun that way. So I guess coming up in August too, we've got Ahsoka. We're going to do 2 episodes of an Ahsoka retrospective, right? We're going to do one podcast covering the Clone Wars episodes that Ahsoka, some key episodes that Ahsoka's in. And then we're going to do another one that's going to cover Rebels specific episodes.
Right. I got to say, I was watching the end of the Clone Wars episodes today. Bangers. Banger after banger.
Nice.
You should, before you watch this, watch the last 4 episodes at least of the Clone Wars. It is basically just a Star Wars movie that's animated.
Very cool.
And it's really good. It's really good.
It's good to know. Yeah, it's so, and we've talked about this, the beginnings of both of those, of Rebels and the Clone Wars, it was touch and go.
It's
rough. But, then you hear people say, oh, it's the best stuff ever. And, there you go.
It finds its footing. Both of them find their footing really well.
That's good. So we've got Foundation running. We've got an Ahsoka prep. And then at the end of the month, we're going to start doing Ahsoka full-time coverage. And then right after that, we're going to have Wheel of Time. We're going to do another MCU episode later in the month. We're going to kind of recap Secret Invasion and what a dumpster fire that was. And it's all made worse by the news that what happened with showrunners and writers and all that kind of stuff. So it makes a lot of sense too, because we were detecting in the show that there's just really great stuff and then there's just really weird stuff. So anyway, we're going to cover some news and updates, and so we'll have an episode about that in the middle of the month. And then we've got still Second Breakfast coming up for our Patreon exclusives. I think for another Patreon exclusive, you got a Shireside chat.
Yeah, Shireside chats. Yeah, we'll be chatting about at least letter 2 for one episode. Maybe we'll do one on letter 3 as well. We'll see how we go for the month.
Sounds good. And then you and Brandon are going to be talking about Skyrim. You've probably played Skyrim a lot already.
I've played Skyrim for hundreds of hours because it came out when I was in my senior year of high school,
right?
When I had a lot of time to play video games. And in college, I played it a bunch, and so I've been living with Skyrim for years. If you are a Skyrim stan, which you probably are if you play video games at all, write in, please. Share your Skyrim stories.
Oh, yeah.
It could just be an anecdote. I don't care. Or just, say something you like about the game. Say something cool about the game. It really is a game that changed how I played video games. So I hope that people will write in, and I hope people will share that sort of experience with us.
Yeah, so I think if people want to send you specifically about Lorehounds play stuff, they can do lhp@thelorehounds.com.
Yeah. Or, you know what? If things are confusing, just go to the website.
Just go to the
do
website.
The contact page. Yep.
Exactly. Okay, properly Howard movie reviews. Maester Anthony and his buddy...
They've changed the name? It's movie reviews now?
It's always been movie reviews. We just been fucking it up.
No, it hasn't. Have I been living a lie?
Yes.
A lie? Wow.
Right there on the thing.
I had no idea. It's even in the art.
Yeah.
So apologies, Maester Anthony.
Are we keeping this in?
We're keeping this in.
All right. This is it, folks. The raw sausage making of podcasting. This is how we really talk between takes.
Yeah.
Properly Howard movie review. So Steve and Anthony have a good time talking about films and their season. So they work in seasons, and this season it's all the films are remakes, and it's going to start in earnest in August 14th with White Man Can't Jump. Then Dune Part 1, and that was fun because you, me, and Elysia, John, Elysia, and I joined Anthony and Steve on that podcast. That was really cool. And then at the end of August, they're going to do RoboCop. They've got about 6 more films after that, so we'll keep you updated on the upcoming films. But if you haven't subscribed to their channel already, just search for Properly Howard Movie Reviews. Go to our website; they'll be all posted there. And get those in your feeds, and show them some love. Give them a rating and review if you get a chance. It's really funny stuff. They're very good.
It is. So. We love it.
All right, and lastly, we're going to talk about Elysia and Wool Shift Dust. She's keeping the name for her. It's going to be like her general show name, Wool Shift Dust. So stay subscribed to that. She is going to shift gears into a Dune book club kind of thing. That's not a book club even. It's just Dune in general. Video games, movies, documentaries. And it's all
a sand club.
It's a sand club. I like that. And that is all sort of in prep, hoping, fingers crossed, that they don't kick Dune Part 2 into next year. There was some chatter that they might do that.
I did see. I heard you guys talking about that on Secret Invasion, which, by the way, was an excellent podcast.
No, thank you very much.
But I heard y'all talking about that, and I think that since then, the studios have gotten together and had a little meeting last Friday that was like, all right, we got to figure something out because we're losing a lot of money. So
yeah.
I think the dual strike has really started to hurt them. So that's good because we want this to resolve.
Yes, absolutely. There was some
and the actors.
There was some news today that they may actually be coming. AMPTA sent a message to SAG-AFTRA, WGA, saying, "Hey, you guys want to talk again? We'll be open to it."
That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Hopefully,
because it really needs to happen because we need something to cover next year.
So stay subscribed to Elysia. She's got a whole thing lined up for all sort of Dune stuff, just talking about books. You don't have to have read the books necessarily. It's just going to talk about Dune culture and how it's set the stage for a lot of other sci-fi stuff. So it's going to be very cool.
We're going to get real dusty.
Very, very. We're going to get real high on spice too.
That's what it is. It's spice. It's not dust.
It's a spice club.
Oh boy.
And then she has her...
Girls?
No, too hot on Arrakis to dance.
Okay.
And then she has her Patreon book club. They are reading all 3 of the Silo books, Wool, Shift, and Dust. And that's a pay per episode kind of thing. So you know, if you don't want the content, you don't have to pay for it, but go check that out as well. So that is patreon.com/Wool, Shift, Dust. And we'll have links in the show notes for those. All right, I think that's it for our programming schedule for now. We got lots going on. It's going to be very busy this year.
There's more in the works too, which is it's redacted for now.
We don't want to, because otherwise, how you can't retain all the information that we got coming out. You just got to put it in your ears when it comes out.
It's true.
John, our patrons,
we got them. We got a lot of them. We're over 90 now, so that's nice.
What happened?
What happened is people wanted the freaking sticker.
They wanted the sticker, which is sitting on the shelf right behind me. I got to finish production, to get everything together and get those out of the mail here real soon.
They needed that sticker, and I'm glad. I'm glad people are getting that sticker because it's a great sticker. Hope you all enjoy it, and thanks, David, for handling logistics on that.
It's been a lot of fun putting it together as a creative outlet.
Nice.
I feel fulfilled.
We put a letter together last week that I think people will enjoy. So
get a chuckle out of. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Good.
Every episode, though, we like to shout out our Patreon lore masters, which, again, a growing list. I think we're up to 27 now.
Yes. 28? So, yeah, 27.
27.
Right.
And here they are. Samartian, Cyrus, Mark H., Michael G., Michelle E., David W., Brian P., Nick W., SC, Peter O.H., Bettina W., Adam S., Nancy M., Lavinia T., Duve71, Brian 8063, Frederick H., Sarah L., Gareth C., Eric F., Matthew M., Sarah M., DJ Miwa, Andra B., Kwang Yu, Laura G., and Deadeye Jedi Bob. Thank you all for being our loyal supporters and our lovely supporters who help us keep the podcast churning out. Help us record in between vacations, right?
That's right.
Give us the motivation to keep on going when we're doing 3 shows at a time. I don't think we'd be able to justify 3 shows at a time if it weren't for you all. So thank you all so much.
Yep. And to all our patrons, thank you very much. And to everyone who is subscribed at the end of July, yes, keep your eyes out in the mail. I will starting to send those out this week. And those of you who missed it, apologies. We tried to do our best to advertise it. We've been talking about it. How can we do a little bit of merch, just a little bit of fun stuff, just a little brand identification, loyalty, fun things. So I think as we get clear from our birthday month and we move into the next things, we'll talk about maybe some t-shirts and some coffee mugs, some real, just simple stuff just for fun. Just the way, for folks to, feel that they're connected a little bit more. So
I want a coffee mug that says second breakfast, hot takes on your hotcakes.
I love it. I think hot takes on your hotcakes was a preferred phrase. They were talking at one point. We were talking on the Discord private channel about that. There is if you're a Patreon subscriber, you have a special section on the Discord that you can talk to, and I think somebody said that they liked that one. So
it's exclusive. You got to be part of the Roy family, right? If you're doing Foundation. Yes. Anyway. I had a great time talking about this episode with you, David, and I think we're going to be back in a few days talking about Foundation episode 5. So you and I are going to be moving through this season a little quicker now just because of scheduling and because we have so many shows coming up. But I'm really looking forward to seeing what's coming next.
Yes. Yes. I think it's going to get wild because I think we're at the part where we've sort of done all the setup, and I think now it's time to, crack open the world a little bit, a little bit wider. So
I'm ready.
Cool.
All right.
Bring it on.
Thanks, everyone, for listening.
Bye.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by The Lorehounds. You can send questions and feedback and voicemails at thelorehounds.com/contact. Get early and ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts at patreon.com/thelorehounds. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities. Thanks for listening.